This is my buddy Marcel, and you've made 8 million with one sales video?
Yes, sir, about 7-8 million with one sales video.
And I've made about 32 million with a handful of sales videos. And we're gonna share what we know in a casual chat.
And we have our Dubai teddy bear.
Disagree with me if you want. I always say you get people in a room, you say the right thing, you make the right offer.
Yep.
And so it's the same thing with like late night infomercials. Like Tony Robbins, he started out doing late night infomercials.
Yeah.
Now think about this. You get the right people in the room. Who's up at 2 a.m. watching TV? People that are that need help,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
You know what I mean? Like, why are you up at 2 a.m.?
That's
If you had
crazy.
your shit together, you'd be up at 5 a.m.
Yep.
getting stuff done, but you're up at 2 a.m. because you're depressed and you're
Yeah.
and that's why you're watching Tony Robbins at 2 a.m. So he's got the right people in the room.
Yep.
Then he's obviously says the right thing because he's Tony, and then he makes the right offer. Come buy my course or digital audio tape or A-track or whatever the hell they had back then, and there you go.
Yeah, and they would physically mail the VHS tapes to their house. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, but it's all the same.
Yeah.
It's all the same,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah, exactly. We do literally the same thing that he did, like what, 20, 30 years ago that Tony was doing this. We do exactly the same thing, but now we have the internet, we have videos, we don't need to use VHS tape. Like, we literally just immediately give them the access and whatever. But it's literally the same thing, the same principles.
The same
exactly.
principles. And I think that's where people mess up when they're trying to make money and learn business. They try to learn a tactic rather than a principle. Because when you learn a principle, as tactics and trends and things change.
Oh, this new TikTok reel thing, whatever.
Yeah, it's hello McFly, like hello, like you learn the principle, and then if you were completely shut off from all education, and you close your eyes and you wait and you open them up in 5 years when the whole market has changed, you still know what to do.
Exactly.
That's people just don't want to learn.
Yeah, because the tactics derive from the principles, right? The
Yeah.
principles are the foundation, and so it's like building a house on top of the sand. You have no foundation, right? And then, yeah, I completely agree. All these guys are talking about, oh, this new TikTok algorithm hack, whatever. And it might work, you know, for a couple videos, for a couple weeks, for a couple months, but then as soon as Instagram, TikTok, whatever rolls out another update, or as soon as there's a new social media, their business goes under. They don't know what to do because they don't know the principles.
Now, here's something I find interesting and strange. You shoot all of your sales videos on your phone.
Yep.
Now, I use fancy cameras a lot
Yeah.
because I went to school for audio and video. I can't help myself. Or I use slides, or I use like a whiteboard.
Yeah,
right?
whiteboard, yeah.
So I always have something going on. But you just stand in your nice ass Dubai apartment with your phone for an hour.
Yeah.
You literally film it on your phone for an hour.
Exactly.
And it does like multiple 6 figures a month.
Yeah.
That's wacky to me.
Yeah, so talking about principles, there's a bunch of principles behind that, right? Because when we're talking about selling a product or a service, especially to somebody who has never seen you before, right? Like, it's completely cold. They don't trust you, right? And so the moment that they see in amazing production, and this is different, right? Because this is like a YouTube video. We're not going to sell anything here. But when you're trying to sell something, and it's a complete production, whatever, it smells salesy. Does that make sense?
Let me play devil's advocate.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so you sell primarily to a business opportunity market, which means you sell to someone who has no business.
Complete beginners want to make their first dollar online.
They want to make their first dollar online.
Yep.
I sell, well, I do have an offer for that.
Yeah.
Mainly, I sell to people who already have a business.
Yeah.
They have an idea for a business. It's a little bit more of a...
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
So
different audience, yeah.
There's 2 points I want to make. My audience, who are already into internet marketing, who are already into business, I think when they see a production, they're a little bit more like, oh, this makes sense. Or when I sell to them, because I teach sales, right? I sell sales trainings and things like that. You expect me to sell.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you go to a presentation about selling and you don't get sold something, you're almost disappointed.
Yeah.
You know, I would be disappointed.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a little bit of a difference there? Like, I'm not saying if I film my whole VSL on my phone, which I might try, it wouldn't work. But for me, like, we sometimes we show demonstrations, we show inside software because we sell a software. So it's like a little hard.
Yeah, that does make sense, especially in the B2B space, in the space where you know, a different audience that has a higher level of consciousness about this whole market and stuff. And so that does make sense because once they see a high-end production or whatever, they automatically assume that this guy at least has money to pay for all this.
Right.
So he's at least not bullshitting in the money or financial aspect.
Yeah, because you could rent a house like this for, I don't know, maybe a couple grand a night on Airbnb. You could take your phone and you could talk. But then again, you could also rent the cameras. But at that point, it's like, dude, this is expensive.
How far are you going to go? Yeah.
How far are you going to go? I am interested to try it.
Do you think that the words are more important than all the camera setup and stuff like that?
Of course. But dude, if you think about it, if you're spending $100,000 a month on Facebook ads, if you get a 1% increase in conversion, that's a game changer. So if I film my same sales video on my phone versus a professional camera, and that for some crazy reason, you know, or me wearing a red shirt instead of a blue shirt, whatever, increases it by 1%, that's the that can be 7 figures in extra net profit at the end of the year. So it's a big difference.
That is true. That is true. So at the end of the day, there's many ways to skin a cat, right? You can test it. It would be a curious test to do, like the same exact words, but handheld, vertical. And you see my sales letters are vertical, right? I don't do horizontal videos because most people are on their phone, and so they're watching it on a vertical screen, and so that's why I do it vertically.
Okay, now hold on. Let me push back again.
Yeah.
Most people who are broke and looking for a or maybe they're not broke, they're looking for
a different opportunity.
They're on their phones.
Yeah.
But in my market, a lot of people are working. They're on their computers.
But do you have the data on that? Like, did you ever check how, like, what percentage watches on desktop versus mobile?
First-time viewers are primarily mobile, but returning viewers are primarily desktop. I think they start watching it on their phone, and then because what I do is I'll watch something on my phone. I'll be like, well, I'm not going to watch an hour on my phone, but I'm interested, so I'll Slack it to myself, or I'll WhatsApp it to myself, and then I'll watch it later.
Yeah, and I think I'm the same way when I watch, like, webinars or whatever. I want to figure out what this guy is doing. I do, that does make sense. I do watch it on my desktop. But yeah, mine is more skewed towards beginners and stuff. So yeah, that does make sense. The audience is, because mine is 97% mobile and 3% desktop.
So here, you want to know a little ad trick that I used to do?
What?
When you retarget, if you retarget desktop only, the viewer retention and thus the ROI I found would go up in a lot of Facebook ad campaigns because, like, throughout the day, you're on your phone and you're on your desktop. But if I put my money into only targeting you when you're on your desktop, the chances of you paying attention are higher.
Interesting.
Yeah, because if I hit you on the phone, you might be out. If I hit you when you're on the desktop, and it's retargeting, right? Because you've already visited my website. You've already visited my sales video. Maybe you didn't watch the whole thing. Now you're getting an ad because you visited it. But now you're only getting it when you're in a setting where you're more likely to pay attention.
Yeah, that makes sense. And let me give you another tip on top of that, is that sometimes I target only people that are on Wi-Fi. You know, you can do that inside Facebook.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so they're at home, so they can watch an hour-long sales letter, right, or sales presentation.
That's same principle. It's just a different. See, there you go. Same principle.
Different tactic. Exactly.
So when you know this principle, you can come up with stuff like that and try it. That's actually really it's really
interesting because then if they're on mobile, they might be in the bus going home or in the car or whatever wherever they are at. They're not home if they're on mobile.
How much do you spend on ads?
Right now about $120,000 a month.
Wow. Okay, I don't spend anywhere near that much anymore. I used to spend $400 a month, $400,000, and now we spend maybe like 15. Because
but you have the holy grail. You have the organic. I wish I had organic. The grass is always greener on the other side, right? I wish I had organic. You wish you had paid traffic.
No. Well, it's not that. It's because that's all I used to do is paid traffic. But I decided 2 years ago, I was like, I'm gonna figure out organic, and I'm gonna take money instead of giving it to Mark Zuckerberg so he can go play around at UFC fights. I'm gonna give it to video editors. I'm gonna give it to coaches. I went out and I hired like multiple YouTubers that had millions of subscribers, and I just gave them 50 grand. I said, just answer the phone for a few months. Like, I was just like, just answer the phone.
So, by the way, that's a very important principle for everybody watching, is that you need mentors. You need either my first mentor wasn't a physical, it was a virtual mentor, was Jim Rohn. I saw this 4-hour-long presentation he did in 1990 something called Best Life Ever on YouTube in 2017, and that video changed my life. And so ever since then, I've been searching for mentors. You're a mentor to me. I learn a lot from you. I learn a lot from books. I learn a lot from courses, from YouTube. So that's a very important principle as well, is to find mentors. So you spent $250,000 with mentors to learn how to do organic, and now you're crushing organic, and now you made like 4, 5, 10 times more than what you spent just on organic.
I can actually make less money and more profit, because the money I do make is like all profit besides what I pay my staff and just software and whatever like that. But dude, when you have a I made $600,000-700,000 this month, and then you get a $400,000 Facebook ad bill, you're like, damn. Even if you make $1 million, it sucks. But if you make, because if you spend $400,000 and you make $800,000, you made $400,000, right? But if you make say $600,000 or even $500,000, and you spend $50,000, well, now you're at $450,000, and when you spend money on an ad campaign, the day you shut it off is the day you stop making money. When you spend money on social media,
or if you get shut off.
Or if you get shut off. But when you spend money on content, that content's there forever. So it keeps producing, it keeps bringing eyeballs and sales.
Do you find YouTube for organic sales better than Instagram?
People that watch your YouTube videos and then go buy will buy at a much higher rate. They're way more likely to buy than Instagram.
Okay.
But
They're
Instagram,
more qualified?
Way more qualified, right? Because they're seeking knowledge already.
Yeah.
People on Instagram are nowhere near as qualified.
Yeah, they're just watching memes and stuff.
But there's unlimited traffic on Instagram. Like, for instance, if I release a YouTube video, I can work my ass off on that YouTube video, and it might get 5,000 or 10,000 views, right? I have one that I did with my son that right now, it's only a couple months old, and it has 150,000 views. I had to experiment so many different, multiple hours. To me, YouTube is more, once you figure it out, once you crack it, it's more long lasting.
So like, here's the thing, and we can extract a principle from that. It's pick your poison, right? Because there's many ways to skin a cat. There's many ways to make money.
But you like f***ing up cats, don't you?
I need to figure out a new expression.
You ever think about that expression? Like,
that's crazy,
like graphically think about you hang a cat up and you're skinning it like a predator. But also that's another interesting point. You know, most children's books are based on really dark.
Really?
Yeah, like Ring Around the Rosie, Pocket Full of Posies. Dude, that's about like the Black Plague.
Really?
Like, listen to the lyrics. They're talking about people dying from the Black Plague.
What?
Yeah, and you're over here skinning cats and
That's
sick
crazy.
bastards.
That's crazy. Anyway, so there's many ways to make money online, right? There's many ways. So you can do, I make money with paid traffic. You make money with organic traffic. And a principle that I think we can extract here for the viewers that I think is very important is to not let your business have a single point of failure, because that's when you get in trouble. Like, if you only have organic traffic, see, you do organic and a little bit of paid, so that's amazing.
How many versions of your sales video did you have to do before it started printing cash?
I'm gonna sound like a douchebag because the first VSL I did, right off the gate started printing.
So did mine. So we're douchebags.
Yeah. So I know you were trying to get, see, Marcel, he tests a bunch of things.
No, I was just honestly, I didn't know. Okay. I was honestly asking because why does everybody think I always have an angle? I don't always have, damn it. No, honestly, what's funny is my first webinar smashed.
Yeah.
And then my second webinar smashed, but then I started messing with stuff.
I bet that you followed principles. You didn't just, I'm going to write a webinar and I think this is how to do it. You followed principles, right?
So I did this thing called the whiteboard webinar where I would teach just one thing for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I would just release videos on my socials. And let's say I released 30 videos and I taught 30 things. 3 or 4 of them, people would be like, oh my God, mind blown, holy shit.
Okay.
And then the rest, they'd be like, oh yeah, that's cool. So then
Yeah.
what I would do is I would just take the 3 or 4 that people were like, holy crap, and then I'd take that and put that in a webinar, slap a decent intro and outro on it, bam.
Yeah.
And that's why it converted from the beginning. I tested all the
you tested a
elements
bunch of-
before I assembled them, right? So before the Avengers assembled, I made sure that all the Avengers were good. They weren't little stinkers,
Exactly.
you know?
So you tested a bunch of different angles first, and then once you found the winner, you put that in the webinar, and it immediately crushed.
Yeah, because when you do a webinar or a sales video, you're making multiple points, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if I make 30 points and people resonate with 3 or 4, and I take those 3 or 4 and I make that the bulk of the content of my sales video,
Yep.
well now it's probably going to perform unless I just have a terrible intro.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And that's another principle that we can extract for the viewers is testing. Testing is extremely important.
But to be more specific, I would say test components before you assemble.
Okay.
Because if each component works good by itself, theoretically it'll work pretty good, at least when you assemble it.
Yeah.
Think about how they build cars.
Yeah.
They don't just take an engine, take wheels, take this, take that, and just assemble them and go, oh, I hope
Test
the car
everything
runs.
before. Yeah.
They test the wheel. They put it on a little
Exactly.
spinner thing. They test the engine. They
Yep.
test the AC. They test all the stuff to make sure it works. Then they assemble it, and maybe they tweak from there.
Yeah.
They don't just build an engine and not even
100%.
turn it on and throw it inside of a car frame
Yeah.
and go, oh, I hope it runs.
Hope it works.
Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
So that was the
Exactly.
approach I took. It's funny, Russell.
That's smart, yeah.
Russell Brunson, he said, and he always says this. He says it from stage a lot, or he says, "Oh, I tell you to do your webinar 100 times before you automate it or whatever."
Yeah.
Well, unless you're Dan Henry, he made $1 million on his first try, and he says that, but that's not really what I did because I tested the individual
Yeah, yeah.
components. So I don't want anybody to think that I didn't test stuff, that I just got lucky. I didn't. I tested the individual components, I assembled them, and then it worked. And then, of course, I tweaked from there.
Yeah, of course.
And then when I didn't do that, I actually had sales videos that didn't perform.
There you go. There you go. So my approach is a little bit different. So, and this can be another interesting golden nugget for the viewers. If you're stuck, you need to do an offer, you need to write a sales video, sales letter, or whatever, and you don't know where to start. The principle that I used, it's like Pablo Picasso says, great artists copy, good artists copy, great artists steal. And there's another entrepreneur called Alan Nation. He said, I'm not, some special snowflake Einstein. I just see what rich people do and copy them. That's literally what I do. Alan Nation said that. And so when I wrote my first copy in 2019, it immediately crushed. And I didn't test anything, but the reason was, it's not that you don't have to test, you have to test a lot of things, but the reason was that immediately crushed is because I found a VSL in another niche, I think it was a dating niche, that it was already crushing. I didn't know nothing about VSLs at the time. I just needed to figure out a way to do this thing and have it crush. And so I found a VSL in a dating niche.
Video sales letter.
Yeah, video sales letter for the viewers.
Not everybody on YouTube is a nerdy internet marketer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I found a video online that was selling a dating program, right? And it was like a 30, 40 minute long video. And this was the first VSL I wrote. So I copied the video word for word because I didn't know nothing about copywriting, VSLs, unique mechanisms, all these advanced things that we know about today. I didn't know anything of that. So I just found this video and I copied word by word and changed it to my niche, which was at the time drop shipping. Because I started out in 2017 in drop shipping, then I made a little bit of money, then I started selling drop shipping course, and I didn't know how to write a VSL for my course, and so I just literally took that video, copied it word for word, and changed it to a drop shipping course. You know what I mean? Immediately crushed. And so people that are stuck, to write a sales letter, of course, if you know the principles, you can do way better than just copying another one. But if you are just starting out, there's tons of videos online that you can just figure out and take inspiration from one and the other. Yeah. And because the structure doesn't change, right? It's the principles.
You did, because I will say that I think some people try that, and because they copy the wrong things, right? Like they think, oh, well, this person said this, so I'm going to say this and change a word, rather than this person used this angle,
Yeah.
I'm going to use a similar angle,
Yeah.
right? Like they think about it too surface level. They think about the sentence rather than why the sentence exists.
Yeah.
Did you think about the words or why the words were being said?
Yeah, so I didn't have the extensive, copywriting knowledge, whatever that we have today. I just knew, because I learned from another mentor of mine, I knew about the principle of big idea and unique mechanism. So that's as far as I knew in copywriting. I knew that.
Yeah, but that's like 90% of it.
Yeah.
You get that right, you can stumble your way through
exactly.
a sales video and make millions of dollars.
Yeah, I think you're right. If you just copy it word for word, it won't work. You need to have a unique mechanism. So I knew about that, and so I copied the structure of the VSL of this guy's video, and then I added my own unique mechanism to it.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. Yeah.
You know what really changed my perspective on becoming a millionaire is I used to work for this company where it was in New Jersey. The guy that owned the company was a billionaire, and he gave me a piece of advice that I believe is the single piece of advice that made me a millionaire.
Okay.
What happened was I got to have lunch with him one day because he would buy lunch for the whole company.
Yeah.
And I asked him, his name was Jeff. I said, "Hey Jeff, how do you get rich?" And he looks at me and he says, "Well, how many books did you read this week on business, persuasion, sales, money?" I said, "None." He goes, "Well, how many did you read this month?" I said, "None." He goes, "How many did you read this year?" I'm like, "None. I was just smoking weed and playing Tekken 2." And he looks at me. He goes, "Well, then you don't want to get rich."
Yeah.
I said, "No. I want to get rich. Who doesn't want to get rich?" He says, "No. People that want to get rich read books on how to get rich. You don't want to get rich, so don't waste my time."
Yeah.
And I realized that because if you think about it, if you want to be a doctor, what kind of school do you go to?
Yeah, medical school.
Medical school. If you
Yeah.
want to be a lawyer, what type of school do you go to?
Yeah, exactly.
You go to law school,
Yep.
right? If you want to be a pilot, you go to flight school,
Yep.
right? So everybody accepts that. Nobody argues, "Well, I'll fly a plane without going to flight school," because you will die,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And so when people say, "I want to be rich, I want to make $1 million," they don't read books.
Yeah.
And it's like books are like $5-7.
Yeah.
Flight school is expensive as
Yeah.
law school, medical school, these cost 6 figures.
Yeah.
But the guy who sells you $1,000 course, that's the scammer.
Yeah, exactly. You pay $100,000 for 4 or 5 years of college, graduate, and you get a job that barely covers your expenses, let alone your student loans. The guy that sells $1,000 course that you can make money immediately is the scammer.
Yeah.
I think there's maybe a shift going on in the market in this next generation. I think because 50 to 100 years ago, college was the way to go. College was the way to get success and to make a lot of money. That was the way to go. But now they're pumping out millions of graduates every single year. There isn't enough demand in the marketplace to hire all these people. And so that's why it's not a good idea as it was 50 to 100 years ago, right? And so we're not on college, right?
I'm shitting on college.
Okay, you're shitting on college. But it was the path to success 100 years ago. But nowadays, the marketplace has shifted. Information is commoditized, right? You can get the information that they teach you on college on YouTube for free.
Well, you know when I really realized that college was a scam? When I went to college, and I went to school for audio engineering, and almost every book that they had as textbooks, I had already bought before I went to school and already read, because I was just interested in audio engineering. Literally almost every book. I tested out of half the classes, and I ended up dropping out because they were trying to increase the amount of semesters you needed to attend to get the degree, even though I had already started when they said it would be this many semesters.
Yeah.
And I just got pissed off. And I was making money on the internet, so I was like, well, deuces. 3 or 4 years later, the whole college shuts down because they found out that their accreditation was faked. Because what happened was the same people that owned the college had another company that was an accrediting board, and they accredited themselves. And so there was a class action lawsuit.
That's crazy.
The college shut down. The whole thing was a scam.
Yeah, so that's literally a scam.
I literally went to college, and it literally was a scam. And it was $70,000, bro. It took me years to pay that off. And then the interest was like 20%. It was...
Even after they went bankrupt, you still had to pay? Even after they figured out there was a scam?
By the time, dude, literally, a year ago, I got a letter in the mail I got a few $100. The lawyers took the rest. I've been a millionaire for years, bro. Like, I don't give a
That's crazy.
you know? So by the time I could do anything about it,
Yeah.
I didn't give a
Exactly. But that's so true because, I went to college. Most people don't know this, but I didn't finish, but I went to college for computer science. And because, I always loved video games, and when I was a kid, I was addicted to video games and whatever. And when I was 14, before even thinking about going to college for computer science, I used to code some basic games using Adobe Flash, code, whatever. And when I was 14, on YouTube. And so completely information is commoditized, and most college is a scam. If you really think about it.
I probably wouldn't let somebody cut into my brain that didn't go to college or defend me in court. That's about it, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So you need college for medical school and for law school,
yes.
And that's about it.
Yes, because I know there's going to be some...
Because even business school, you learn business, but to work for another business, not to open your own business.
And I say that because there's going to be some friggin' Einstein who comments on this video and goes, what about being a lawyer or a doctor? What about that? Well, no Sherlock,
exactly.
Okay? But I'm just saying, okay?
Yeah.
Let's switch gears.
Okay.
How important do you think a woman, your wife, is to making money with a sales video? Let me paint you a scenario.
Okay.
You sit down and you're like, I'm going to write a sales presentation. I'm going to write a sales video to get clients to get sales for my business, right? And you got the whole day to write it. And you're in a calm, nice peace of mind. Everything's good. And then all of a sudden you have a big fight with your girlfriend or wife. And you're all pissed off and you're all stressed out. Or if you're a woman, you have a fight with your husband, whatever. That's going to affect you, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So don't you think like
it
having...
affects the whole mood for the whole day.
The whole day.
Yeah.
And don't you think having a good relationship with not just your wife, but your parents, your brother, whatever...
Completely.
Like getting your personal relationships in order
completely.
Is super important to making money.
Yeah, completely. It's like, the Bible says, the woman edifies the home. And so the woman can make or break a man, exactly like you said. Like if you have a fight early in the morning, that'll affect you for the rest of the day. You can't do anything for the rest of the day.
Where does it say that in the Bible?
I'm not sure.
But it's somewhere, right?
Yeah.
You know what's funny is if you look at multiple religions, Islam, Christianity, they all say that. Like there's literally, dude, there's this one thing I saw.
This has been known for thousands of years.
There's a hadith in Islam that literally says that the majority of people in hell are women because they don't appreciate their husbands.
Really?
And it was like, you have the power to take a good man who has his together
and break him completely.
Totally break him down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I imagine that would also be true for, I mean, if you could be a good woman, and if you get the wrong man, he can totally break you down as well.
Yeah, but I think the woman has even more power because there's a comedian that says, a man can smash your face in, but a woman destroys you psychologically.
That's true. That's true. They're more effective.
No, obviously,
they have the buying
we're not
power
condoning,
and the
do not hit
breaking
your
power.
wife. Don't do that, but it's just what a comedian said. But
We're gonna get in trouble.
So, about that, and the Greek philosopher Aristotle, he said, if women didn't exist, all the money in the world would be useless. And so that's another thing as well. Why do you make money? You don't make money for yourself. We are men. We could live under a rock and we'd be with our boys. We'd be good.
Aristotle may have said that, but Dan Henry says that money wouldn't exist if copywriters didn't exist. Because that's how we sell. That's how trade happens.
Yeah, that's also
convincing
true.
people to buy stuff with words.
Yeah, that's also
We were
true.
talking about this at dinner the other night.
Yeah.
About how the concept of an engagement ring.
Oh yeah.
Is fake.
Completely a scam.
It's a scam.
How much do you need to spend on
3 months salary,
3 months
which
salary.
is it's absurd. It's to me like if
And
we're
somebody they just made that up.
a copywriter named Francis from New York, a New York advertising firm, made that up.
Yeah.
The De Beers Diamond Mining Company needed to sell more diamonds. They had a stockpile. They were going to go out of business.
Yeah.
So they hired a New York copywriting firm, and a entry-level copywriter came up with this idea that diamonds are forever, diamonds are a girl's best friend, this whole concept.
Yep.
They put it in magazines, they hired celebrities. Engagement rings didn't even exist.
Yep.
And then within a few years, it became this cultural norm that was completely created by a marketer.
Yep.
to buy your woman a diamond ring.
And nobody knows where that comes from. They just say.
Yeah, right.
That,
So before that, almost no one in America except the ultra rich had a diamond anything.
Yeah.
And a few years after that campaign, almost every woman in America who
Wanted
was
a
getting
diamond
married
ring.
had a diamond ring. Okay,
That's
so it's
crazy.
a scam.
That's
all right.
crazy.
That's why me and my wife, we don't do that. Like we like that's why one of the things I love about her
you're
is like
smart.
she's
you know
not
how the things work. Yeah.
when you're a marketer, you see the world differently. You
Yeah.
look around and you're like bullshit,
Exactly.
bullshit, copywriter, bullshit,
Exactly.
made up. You just know.
Yeah.
And she's like that too. She doesn't subscribe to cultural norms.
Yep.
So, because dude, if you spend 3 months' salary on a diamond engagement ring, you're a fucking moron.
Yeah.
Okay. You're an idiot. You know.
And this is a testament to how powerful copywriting is, because they managed to be in the, as the psychotherapist Carl Jung says, the collective unconscious of everybody. This is in everybody's mind. You need to buy a diamond and spend 3 months' salary. Like they managed to do that in like what, one generation?
No, dude, it was like under a decade.
Look at that. So and now everybody has that in their mind, and that was by copywriters. Same thing with
marketers.
milk. Yeah, marketers, copywriters. Same thing with milk. Milk is also a scam.
Yeah.
Because there's, I don't remember the exact story, but like the U.S. government or the
Oh yeah.
the companies.
As soon as you started with the U.S. government, you know it's bullshit.
So the milk companies guys had stockpiles and stockpiles of milk that were going to go bad, and so they needed to figure out, we need to sell all this milk. And so they came up with the campaign that you need to drink like that milk makes kids stronger, it makes
your bones stronger.
Makes your bones
Total
stronger.
BS.
Total BS. I mean, it might be good for you, I don't know, but it's not
When
to
you're like
that level.
3.
Yeah, exactly. People don't think for themselves. They just believe what they see on TV. And so that's something that is a very important principle as well. That is one thing that I learned from my mentor, Jim Rohn, that helped me change my life, was that you need to think for yourself, right?
Can I just call you out?
Yeah.
Okay, so what you did there is a marketing tactic.
Okay.
You say, what I learned from my mentor, Jim Rohn. Right? So what that does is that associates you with Jim Rohn, because it sounds like you sat in a room with him and learned from him over tea. But you didn't. You just watched some videos.
Virtual,
He's dead for, how long has that dude been dead?
Like 20, 30 years.
But I love that frame. I think Ty Lopez did that a lot in the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I learned from my mentor, Bill Gates. You know, it's like, dude, you know, like you were chilling with Bill Gates on the fucking golf course. You know? So, but it's a frame, because it's technically true.
Yeah.
It is true.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't meet Tony Robbins. Shit. Okay, Jim Rohn. Fine, Jim Rohn. I love Jim Rohn's stuff.
But he was my virtual mentor.
Yeah,
not
I would
personal
consider him a mentor too. I listen to his stuff when I ride bikes, because what I do is I listen to not what he's saying, but why he's saying it, because he's selling stuff too.
Yeah, he worked for Herbalife.
Zig Ziglar, like a lot of times when I listen to him, I don't listen to the points he's making. I listen to how he's influencing the people listening, and I study
smart.
that.
That's smart.
Right?
Not listen to what they're saying, but what they're doing.
Yeah. And it gives me so many ideas for like sales analogies. You want to know a really good Zig Ziglar one?
Yeah.
Okay, so check it out, right? This is great. If you were to think of an employee that had all the characteristics of like a great employee, what are some characteristics you might think of?
Hard worker. Gets in early, leaves a little bit late.
But their characteristics.
Yeah.
Honest.
Like physical? Yeah.
Were you hiring hot blonde secsecretaries? Like honesty, bro.
Okay. Yeah, honesty.
Honesty.
Loyalty to the company.
Honesty, loyalty.
Yeah.
What else?
Hardworking. How do you say in English? Proactive, is that a word? Like somebody that goes, maybe charismatic.
Charismatic. Now, answer me this. Honesty, is that an attitude or a skill?
Attitude.
Loyalty, is that an attitude or a skill?
Attitude. Hardworking.
Hard worker. Is that an attitude or a skill?
Skill.
You think that's a skill?
I think so, because you need.
Being a competent worker.
Yeah.
Hard worker is, I would say it's an attitude.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. Proactive, attitude or a skill?
Attitude.
And what was the fifth one?
Charisma.
Attitude or a skill?
Attitude.
I would say that's a skill. You can learn to be charismatic.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got 4 attitudes and 1 skill.
Okay.
Now, if you make another 30, you'll find that they're mostly attitudes.
Okay.
Now, let me ask you this. if you were honest, loyal, proactive, all the things we just mentioned, would you also make a good employer?
Yeah, probably.
Would you also make a good father?
Probably.
Would you also make a good son?
Yeah, probably.
Would you also make a good brother or whatever, right?
Yep.
So the point is, can we both agree that what really makes you successful in anything in life is mostly your attitude?
Yeah.
So if I can teach you that one skill and you can bring a good attitude, do you think you can be successful?
Yeah, I think so.
But do you notice how I did not tell you anything? You
Yeah.
told me, you gave me the list.
Yeah.
I asked you if they were attitudes or skilled. You said they were mostly attitudes.
Yep.
You told me that you'd be a good XYZ person if you had all these things.
Yep.
And then I said, so if I can teach you this one skill you came here to learn from me, can you, and you bring the right attitude, you just change your attitude a bit.
Yeah.
Now do you think you can be successful?
Yeah, 100%.
Because a lot of times people don't buy things because not just information products, they don't buy software, they don't buy, like for instance, somebody might not buy an online course because they don't think that they're going to be successful with it because there's something wrong with them. They may not buy a car because they don't think they'll drive it enough. They may not buy a watch because they don't think that they'll wear it enough. Like there's a lot of times people don't buy not because of the product or the company, because of them, because what they believe about them.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You can change and you can help people see a different version of themselves, a better version of themselves with your words so that they can buy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like I used to think it was crazy to just spend a lot of money on a tax person until the first year I spent 30 grand on a tax person and she saved me 400 grand.
There you go.
Then I was like, oh, that's probably why I should do that.
Yeah.
You know? So
Yeah.
it was my mindset. I was
Yeah,
just like,
exactly.
why should I pay this person 30 grand when I can have my mom do it on TurboTax?
Yeah, exactly.
And then I was like, oh, because you made $1 million this year, you idiot. Okay, like maybe
Yeah.
you should hire a professional. Tadoy.
Yeah,
You know?
100%. 100%.
What's something you would do if you knew 100% you could not fail?
Like in what area? In business?
Just pick a thing that you haven't done that if you were 100% positive you would not fail, you would do.
I don't know if this is going to be the answer you're looking for, but maybe grow a business to sell it.
Is that something you want to do?
Maybe in the next decade.
What's something you want to do but you haven't done it?
I want to get to $1 million a month in net profit.
If you knew you could not fail, would you take different steps than you're taking right now?
Can you give me an example so I can answer the question better?
So what are you at right now approximately?
About 200,000-300,000.
A month, okay.
Yeah.
So to get to $1 million a month, right? If a magical fairy came down and said, whatever you do to try to turn that 200 or 300 grand a month into $1 million a month, whatever you try from this moment forward, you will not fail. Would you do anything differently than you're doing right now?
I would probably spend more money on ads. I would shoot new creatives because then I could pump money in the ads. I would hire more closers. I would, if I knew I couldn't fail, I would create the best internal training for my closers. I would grab all the testimonials from my students and, give them to the closers to watch every day so they can get pumped before doing the calls. I would write a kick-ass VSL. I would, if I knew I couldn't fail, I would do like the best funnel in the world.
And how long have you been putting off all those things?
Months. Because I know I need to do all that.
So what is the only difference between you doing it and you procrastinating? The only thing that changed was belief.
Is it belief?
But
that I
but
procrastinate?
you're not doing it now.
Yeah.
And I said if a magical fairy said you could not fail, then you
Yeah.
would do it. So the only change in the situation there was your level of belief. That was the
Okay.
only thing that changed in those two scenarios.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying, is that belief is everything.
Yeah.
Because the only reason you're procrastinating is probably somewhere in your mind there's doubt that you'll
Is this
do
gonna
all
work?
that.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
it going to work? Whatever. Because
All this work for nothing if it doesn't work, if it fails. Yeah, that makes sense.
When we were doing $1 million a month, we had a run there where we were doing like $1 million a month for like 7-8 months. Almost everything you listed, I did.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, sometimes it's just taking action, right? And doing what you know you need to do.
What's funny is that was good. Everything I did there worked really, really well. But then I did something better. Instead of having a big sales team and all this stuff and all this logistics that you just mentioned, I just did like a multi-day workshop and taught people the same thing over multiple days.
Yeah.
And instead of taking a month to make $1 million with a bunch of salespeople and stuff, I made $1 million in a couple days.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because you can take any sales presentation and stretch it, if you know what you're doing, into a multi-day ordeal, and you take like a 6-month sales cycle, condense it into a few days.
Yeah.
It's just so much more effective.
Yeah.
And you don't need a big sales team. You don't need any of that stuff. So, but to be fair, you do have to like speak for several hours for a couple days or a few days, which I'm fine with doing because you can automate it. You could totally automate it, but you won't make as much money.
How do you automate an event?
No,
Oh, you mean
virtual,
online?
virtual.
Oh, okay.
So you do the event once, and then you take the recording, and you just play it. Your team plays it, and then they just answer questions in the chat. The problem with it is most of your sales come from a VIP room where you can build rapport with people before the event, just chatting. And so I just like money more than automate. Like if I only have to speak for a couple days and then I make 3 times the amount of money, I'd rather just do that. Because when you're running a sales team, dude, you're on top of shit all day, every day for a month. I can just speak for a couple days and make the same money and not have to talk to any salespeople. I'd rather do that.
And then you can automate that and do that once every month, once every quarter?
You can do it every month if you want,
I want to talk about the importance of action that you were talking about, because the only difference of where I am right now and where I want to go is action, right? And there's a very interesting Bible story that illustrates this flawlessly, which is when Peter was with Jesus and it was time to pay taxes, right? They needed to pay their taxes. And so Peter came to Jesus and said, Jesus, it's time to pay our taxes, but we don't have any money. And so Jesus said, no problem, right? And word has it that Jesus was a miracle worker, right? If you're a good student of history, word has it that Jesus was a miracle worker.
I had never heard that.
And so if you give a miracle worker a problem, what would he be inclined to say? No problem, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, for the viewers, you should hang out with people like that. We have a social group of people that make business, that do business and make money around the world. And
if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Right? In our level of what we've achieved, in our mindset, in our philosophy, if I give you a problem, what would you be inclined to say? No problem, right? Because how early would you wake up to solve this problem? Early as it takes. How long hours would you work to solve this problem? As long as it takes. How many books would you read to solve this problem? As much as it needed. So it's what? No problem.
No problem.
So you need to hang out with people like that. So Jesus said to Peter about the tax thing, no problem. And he said, go fishing. Okay? And Peter was a fisherman. So that's clever, right? Peter was a fisherman, and Jesus said, go fishing, right? And so Jesus said, go fishing. The first fish you catch, look in its mouth. Peter was like, okay. He was used to, strange things happening in this relationship. So he was like, okay. And he went fishing. First fish he catched, he looked in his mouth, and there was coins. And the exact amount of coins to pay his taxes and Jesus' taxes. And so the moral of the story here is that if you could fish, and you should fish, and you don't fish, called taking action, you don't have a miracle. Notice that Jesus didn't say, oh yeah, we need to pay the taxes. Bloop, here's the money. Miracle. Pfft. Thin air. Here's the money.
Yeah, he got him to take an action.
He got him to take action. And so that's the principle. There is no miracle without action. And so another good illustration is if, somebody listening, if I ask you to drop down and do as many push-ups as you possibly can right now. And let's say you're able to do 5 push-ups. Let's say you're out of shape, can't imagine why, and you can only do 5 push-ups. 5 push-ups is the best you can do. But is 5 push-ups all you can do? The answer is no. If you rest a little, you can do 5 more. And if you rest a little, you can do 10 more. How did you get now from 5 to 10? It's a miracle called action. But you only get miracles when you take action. And that is the interesting part of this whole scenario, because most people, this law of attraction thing, ask and you shall receive, and that's true. Ask and you shall receive, but you won't receive it if you just ask every single day, please, God, make me rich, make me rich. You need to take action.
Yeah.
And so that's the most important philosophy and nugget that you can take from this scenario is that miracles don't come from nothing. You need to take action.
I would say you're an A player, obviously. There's A players, B players, and C players in life. Right? A players, they get shit done. B players want to be A players, but they're fumbling, right? And C players don't have any desire to be better. They suck, right? So when you're an A player, do you find it aggravating to have to explain simple concepts to people like, hey, dude, if you want good stuff to happen in your life, you have to get off your ass and do stuff. Like, do you ever just like go, bro, like, move? Or were you once that person that did not move? Yeah,
exactly. I was once that person that did not move. And so I understand, right?
I'm angry at my previous self. 15, 20 years ago, I'd be angry. I would be like, why are you stupid? You know?
And I get where you're coming from completely. I think it's just because that's my audience, that's who I speak to, so I'm more accustomed to teaching these fundamentals, we call these, right? The basics, right? Like philosophy of mindset and stuff, because you only are here now where you're at talking about the more advanced stuff and copywriting and persuasion and mechanism and big ideas, whatever, because you have the fundamentals. You don't not have the fundamentals. You have all these fundamentals that we're talking about. You have the action, you have the philosophy, you have the attitude, you have the mindset.
But you know, I don't think I ever would have became a millionaire if I didn't get a quick win. I'm gonna be straight. Like, I know that there's new age gurus who are like, work your ass off every day for 5 years and make no money, and then one day you'll maybe be able to exit a company and, you know, just don't make any money.
But that's a way more advanced thing. That's not for beginners. That's way more advanced.
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm saying is, like, when I first got started trying to get in business, I always looked for things that made money easy or easier. Now, you might say, well, that's the wrong mindset to have, but it's...
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Well, the way I thought about it was, if I find a way to make a little bit of money pretty easy, if I put more effort into that, I can turn that into a lot of money. But if I find a way that doesn't make money and I spend the next year, 2, 3 years of my life trying to make money with it, and like, I'm gambling my time.
Yeah, exactly. I did that too, and there's no shame in that, because when you're in that situation, like 5, 6 years ago, I was living in a tiny studio apartment with less than $100 in my bank account, and I made, how much would be in dollars? Yeah, I made like $250 a month in Brazil. It's a very poor country, so the average salary is $600. I made $250, and so I needed something fast. You know what I mean? So I started searching online. I found this guy talking about drop shipping. I started doing a drop shipping, made a little bit of money, and then I figured out that I could sell my knowledge online using video sales letters, using sales presentations. Then I got into that. Then I started studying that. And those are all ways to leverage the internet in a faster way and to leverage business in a faster way. Because imagine 100 years ago, if you wanted to open a business, let's say you wanted to sell candles or whatever, you had to go to a manufacturer of candles. You're like, hey, I want to buy some candles. They'll be like, okay, we only sell minimum 100,000 candles, so that'd be however many it is a pop. So you'd have to come up with like $100,000, $200,000 to just open the business, to just get it started.
I know. I've owned 2 restaurants.
So you know that by experience, right? It's crazy. And what's possible nowadays to open a business with $0? That's crazy, right?
Yeah. I got into internet marketing after I owned a couple restaurants, because I was like, bro, this is too hard. You know, I'm like, what am I gonna do? Own 10 of these? I'll have leather for skin in 5 years. And so when I first started, I got into blogging. I made a little bit of money, but I was like, this is gonna be a lot of work to make substantial money.
Like SEO, stuff like that?
Yeah, all that crap. And so I was like, this is gonna be way too hard. And then I got into like more affiliate marketing. I made more money. And I was like, okay, I'm doing all this work to get this much of the pie. But if I took the same amount of work and I created a product and I got 100%. The whole pie, then all this would be worth it. Because right now it's not worth it. Because you know, there's all these guys that are like, oh, make money with affiliate marketing. It's like, yeah, but you're not gonna, dude. You know how hard it is to become a millionaire from affiliate marketing.
Yeah.
Like
You gotta have be top affiliates.
Right, and you have to learn all the same stuff that would
Yeah.
make you 10 million if you had your own product.
Exactly. Yeah.
So just figure out your own product.
Yeah. Just figure out the stuff.
You know, and don't get me wrong, I make several hundred grand a year from affiliate marketing, but that's me recommending products and things that I use in my business.
Yeah.
So it's like side cash.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I don't make it my main thing.
Yeah, of course.
But then again, if there are guys I know who make 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50 grand a month, they don't own any products, they just do affiliate marketing and they just write every day, and for them, they're happy.
Yeah.
I'm not happy with 50 grand.
But like, here's the thing, and I get what you're saying, and in our scenario, in our level that we are, we're thinking like 50 grand, what's 50 grand, right? But if you think about it, bro, like for most Americans, and for most people in the world for that matter, $1,000 extra every single month.
You're such a biz op guy. You're such a biz op. $1,000? You could sell your old pants on eBay and make $500 a month?
But isn't that true? Like, for the average American, $1,000, $2,000 extra every single month is life-changing for the average American.
Yeah, but why set your goals? Bartender makes more than that.
Yeah, of course. You should set, you know, like I learned from my mentor Jim Rohn, you should set your goal, set a goal to become a millionaire, not for the money, but for what it will make of you to achieve it, right? So set a goal to become a millionaire, not for the money. The money you can give it all away, but for what it will make of you to achieve it.
That's such a oh my God. That's such a guru piece of advice. Jim Rohn said that?
Yeah. You know what modeling is? When you model somebody?
Yeah.
Like when you're learning from somebody, you model them, and then you copy their expressions, you copy what they say, and that way you extract it's like a subconscious thing. When you copy exactly word by word what somebody says, does, how they walk, how they talk, you can extract their insights better.
Yeah.
Did you know that? You probably have modeled, maybe even unknowingly, tons of people in your life to get to where you're at.
Actually,
right
that's
now,
how
right?
I got over being bad on camera.
Yeah.
I modeled Jim Carrey.
Oh, Jim Carrey.
Yeah, because in my head, here's how I thought about it, right? If I could, say, go out with a group of friends and act like Jim Carrey, like that's like way over the top. If I'm on camera, I don't need to act like Jim Carrey. So if I'm even a quarter of that energy, I've got good energy on camera.
Yeah.
So I would like overtrain,
Yeah.
and I would do Jim Carrey impressions. They were terrible, by the way, with my friends, because if I could do a Jim Carrey impression terribly with my friends, and I had the balls to do that, I could record a sales video. So I would do stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So because you're laughing at me for the way I'm speaking, but it's
it's because we know this stuff.
Yeah,
you know.
But you gotta imagine. Maybe your audience.
I had this girlfriend once, and she always used to make fun of me because I would always be like, imagine this. And she'd be like, imagine. You're such a marketer. Imagine, right?
But it's because we know this stuff, bro. But like...
You talk like it normally.
Yeah. Like, but for most people, this is the stuff that they need to be able to change their lives. And unless your audience is completely high-level entrepreneurs, like B2B, but you might still have a bunch of low-level people that want to get started, and so this is what they need to hear, right? And this is normal for you and me. That's why I get that you're not making fun of me. We're playing. But
well, also, that's kind of how I roll.
Yeah, exactly.
I even throw jabs at Sam and Russell when I hang out with them and stuff. Because it's just, I'm from Florida, bro. You know that's Florida culture.
Okay.
Yeah, like
what did you tell Sam? Sam Evans?
Yeah, like I make fun of his. I do impressions and stuff. Yeah. I roast him. We both made multiple millions online.
Yep.
Which, thanks to the big man for that.
Yep.
What do you think a big misconception about making money from the internet is? Whether you own a business or you're just trying to make money, like whatever. Like, what do you think a big misconception is?
A big misconception from making money in the internet is, I think number one is that people have the belief that it's a scam. So many people, imagine, we convert like 1% on our page, right? On average, 1-2% on our page, right?
You only convert at 1%?
We convert, 1-2%, 1.5%, I think it is, yeah. So imagine all those people believed. Imagine if all those people didn't have the belief that it was a scam.
See, you sell to absolute beginners, right? So like for me, I sell a program for beginners too, but my main thing is for people who like really want to grow their business.
Yeah.
And I would say the biggest belief they have is that a certain tactic or a certain method won't work for them or their business because of X, Y, Z.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Which is complete crap because, dude, all marketing is the same, right? All sales are the same. That's what I learned making, because you got to remember, not only did I have multiple businesses, but I've consulted on hundreds and hundreds of campaigns for all different types of businesses. Yeah. Everything from, dude, like you name it, software to consultants to e-commerce to restaurants. I mean, just, and to me, it's always the same.
They think it doesn't work for their specific situation because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, they just get this weird, or they get confused because they're consuming too much information. I'll give you an example, right? Like I used a very common marketing frame to grow a little bar and restaurant that was not even on a main road to the hottest spot in town. And what I did was I realized that in marketing, a basic is you identify a problem in the market and or a gap. We call it a gap, right? So you look at a market, there's all these problems and there's all these people selling solutions to these problems, but there's always a gap. There's some gap that isn't being filled. So at the time, in the town I live, Spring Hill, Florida, it was all sports bars because the main people in that town were older people. Okay. They just wanted to go to a sports bar. Yeah. There were still people in their 20s who didn't want to go to sports bars. So they would drive an hour to Ybor City in Tampa, get drunk, spend way too much money because it's expensive there, and then get a DUI driving home. Oh. Right?
So you saw that opportunity.
I saw that gap. I took a bar that was a sports bar and it was shut down, so I got it cheap. I bought it. I then turned it into a nightclub where it was like dancing and DJ and just very, very nightclubby. Yeah. And all the young people went there because my pitch was, hey, want to go out and dance? Want to go to a VIP room? Don't drive to Tampa and get a DUI. Come to Aqua Bar and Lounge.
That's interesting.
It's a very clear, get this without that.
Yeah.
Right? Get your goal, solve your problem without things.
Did you run ads to that bar? Or at the time you didn't know about the
No, that's where I learned Facebook ads.
Oh, cool.
Was to the bar, right? Cool. So that was a very clear marketing frame. Yeah. And I based the entire business on that, and it worked. Like literally everybody came there because it was the only place they could go where they could get a nightclub vibe. Yeah. And look, to be fair, it wasn't as good as going to a nightclub in Tampa where it has a, auditorium type feel. It was only 4,000 square foot, but it was pretty close. Okay. It was like lounge nightclub, and it worked. And I was able to charge more for the alcohol because it was a nightclub.
It's more expensive in a nightclub
than in a bar. It's more expensive in a nightclub, in a bar.
Yeah.
Even though I had bar level expenses, right? It was all cheap LED lights and stuff I bought off of freaking Amazon. It was nothing. Yep. Black paint on the ceilings. Yeah. It was easy. Yeah.
Bro, that's a super interesting concept that we can extrapolate to get a principle out of that. So the amount that you can sell something for can be dependent on the context of the thing. So, for example, if you buy a can of Coke at the grocery store, how much is it? 50 cents, $1, right? Yeah. If you buy a can of Coke at the airport, how much is it? $5, $6, $7? If you buy a can of Coke at a 5-star hotel, how much is it? $10, $15, $20? It's the same can of Coke. Now, get this. If you buy a can of Coke signed by Beyonce or whatever, how much is that worth? $1 million or something, right? But it's depending on the context. So that's very interesting that you were able to sell alcohol more expensive based on the context of it's not a bar anymore, guys. It's a high-end nightclub.
Right, and to make it a high-end nightclub, all I did was paint the walls and put some LED lights.
Paint the walls black?
Yeah, I did. I
painted it black?
I painted it black. Okay, black. Yeah, the ceiling was black. Everything was black,
Yeah.
and I had LED lights. So it was black and white and blue. The black walls, the white walls, I would put LED lights so it looked nightclubby. Like, dude, it barely cost any money.
Yeah.
Like, if you were to paint it to look like a classy place or a sports bar or whatever, the amount of money you spend on the paint is the same, whether it's tan, white, or black.
Yep.
So I painted it black, and I put some lights up, and now all of a sudden it's a nightclub.
Yeah. And now you're able to charge like double for a beer.
For the bar, I got epoxy resin, which was cheap as hell.
Yeah, yeah.
Way cheaper than making a nice. Like, if you had I owned an Irish pub as well. That was way more expensive because
Really?
it had to be this nice wood, Irish
Yeah,
pub.
yeah, yeah.
But in the nightclub, it was this cheap epoxy with some, and literally I put the epoxy, put the paint, swirled it around with a little stick, and all of a sudden.
You did it yourself?
Yeah, dude. I wasn't rich then, bro. I
crazy.
swirled it around the bar,
Because it's dark in there, right?
let
So
it
people
dry.
won't see the quality of the furniture.
No, and it's dark, bro. It's like dude, it's like never marry a woman who you've only seen in the dark. Go play
That's
tennis,
crazy.
okay?
Yeah.
And so it had swirls in it, and it just looked cool. Nightclub. Now I
Yeah.
can charge 3 times as much for everything.
That's interesting.
Yeah, dude. Like it's.
And then you blew up the bar. And
blew
it
up the
became
bar.
hottest.
I mean, there was a lot of stuff I did. Like, for instance, here's a tactic that literally doubled business at my bar. So, if it was a Tuesday night and it was slow, every other bar owner would just say to themselves, "Oh, it's a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
I'm just going to accept not making money."
Exactly.
I didn't accept that.
Yeah.
So what I did
And
was,
that's a powerful mindset.
I just wasn't going to accept it.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, it's slow season. No, well, let's make it busy season.
Yeah, exactly.
So what I did was, I did this thing called a Facebook check-in shot. And I would get on the microphone every night, dude, for a year. And anytime the bar was slow, I would say, hey, if you want a free Jell-O shot, check in to Aqua Bar and Lounge on your Facebook, show it to the bartender, we'll give you a free Jell-O shot. Now, you can make hundreds of Jell-O shots for like $10.
Yeah.
Because you use well liquor, and it's like cheap as heck.
Oh, really? That's smart.
Yeah.
That's smart.
They would check in on Facebook. Their friend Tommy, Mary, Sue would be driving around looking for something to do. They'd go on their Facebook. Oh, John is at Aqua Bar and Lounge. We're 10 minutes away. Let's just head over there.
Yeah.
And that would happen. And within an hour, the whole place got filled because everybody in the place would say, hey, I'm in the place on social media.
Yeah.
And then all their friends out and about would be like, oh, that person's in the place. Let's go to the place.
Exactly.
And it worked every single time.
Yeah.
There was never a night where I did that where I did not fill up the bar immediately for $5 in liquor, in Jell-O.
Yeah. On top of the free marketing, right, of people posting on Facebook, they aren't going to just go there to get the free thing and go home. They're going to buy more stuff, right?
Yeah. I'll give you 2 more tactics. So I used to do free birthday couches. So if you had a birthday, you would get a free VIP couch.
Oh.
Okay. Now here's what would
So
happen.
now you're the gangster in there.
Right.
Yeah.
And here's what would happen. We'd even give you a free bottle. But it was always well. Now, at that, I don't know what it costs now, but at that time,
Thank you.
a bottle of well liquor cost like $6. But if you had a birthday, they would bring 10, 15, 20 people. And so the bottle that cost $6 would be gone in 5 minutes.
That's
and
smart.
then they'd go and buy more bottles and expensive bottles, and we'd make hundreds and hundreds of dollars, sometimes over $1,000 on one birthday party.
Yeah.
And the ad that I ran on Facebook was, hey, we're doing a promotion. If you have a birthday coming up, we're giving away 5 free VIP couches and free bottle service if you book your birthday at Aqua Bar and Lounge. So what would happen is they would answer the ad, we'd book them in for the birthday, they'd come in, burn through the bottle in 2 seconds, and spend hundreds
Way
or
more.
sometimes thousands of dollars.
But see, that's called creativity and having a mindset that isn't willing to just accept that this is the low season, right?
I call it a lead magnet.
Yeah.
It's a lead magnet.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, in retail they'd call it a loss leader.
A loss leader, yeah.
But it's all the same concept. It's all the same principle.
Did you always have that philosophy, or did something change when you maybe read a book or found a mentor or heard somebody say something or an experience or a failure? Because that's not the average person's philosophy. The average person's philosophy is, let's try our best and see what happens.
Well, my philosophy is let's try our best to make it happen.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a winner's philosophy. That's why you're here. And most of our friends, most of our social circle have this type of philosophy.
No, I didn't used
Were
to
you
think
always
like
that?
No, I used to think like a loser. And it was I ended up getting jobs at companies where there were a lot of winners.
How old were you when you bought that bar?
25.
But at 24, you already had that mindset, that philosophy. How did you get to there?
So I would get jobs at like sales companies or just companies that were winners. And I just realized like all these people, they had beautiful wives, they had money, they had all the things I wanted. And I was like, well, I want those things. Why don't I have those things? And I realized that they just lived their life. They had a different attitude, lived their life a different way, and behaved differently. And I realized at that moment that if I want to be the 1%, I cannot behave like the 99%.
Yeah, exactly.
And also that was around the time that billionaire told me, if you don't read books on how to get rich, you ain't gonna get rich.
So your mindset shift happened with that billionaire.
That was, I think, the day that
was like the click.
The click.
Okay.
He literally said, don't waste my time. Like he basically told me I was full of shit.
Yeah.
Which most people are. Most people say, I want to make money, I want to get rich, but they don't do anything about it. So you're full of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And he called me out on it. When he called me, and you know what it is? Let's be fair. I'm a very direct, kind of harsh guy. Like a lot of people, when they buy business consulting from me, the reason is they've spent it with other people who are nice to them.
Yeah.
They didn't fix the problem, and they're like, all right, now I need Dan to smack me upside the head.
Oh, and by the way, just kudos to Dan, because I had last year a problem in my business where I wasn't as profitable as I once was. And then I spoke to Dan, and I was going over my business, how the business model works and everything, and how we help people make money online, how we do this, how we do that. And then Dan immediately saw something that after he said it, it clicked for me, and I said, that's obvious, but I didn't see it. And Dan immediately saw something and said, do this. And now a year later, we've tripled our profits.
But I roasted you when I did it.
And you were harsh. You were like, bro, you need to do this thing. Do this thing. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. But see, I think, where I think that comes from is the moment that everything changed for me. Like I had people, my grandfather, an amazing man. He was always very nice to me. He always encouraged me. He always was like, you can do anything you want in life as long as you believe in yourself, like all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people were nice to me like that. And I was like, okay, cool, And it was the day that billionaire was a total to me that it flipped for me. And I think naturally now when I go to help people, I'm like,
don't waste my time.
I'm a little bit of because I'm just like, yo, it's right in front of your face, bro. Do this,
Yeah.
And it's just because that's how it's clicked for me. That's how I.
Makes 100% sense.
That's how I receive. That's how I give. Like even when I was in therapy, I told the therapist, I'm like, I don't need your.
Be straight. Fix my brain.
Fix my brain. I don't need your bullshit. Don't tell me you understand and empathy and all that. I don't need that. Just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I'm just that type of guy.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so I like working with people that are like that as well, because I don't have time to empathize with you. Let's just fix the problem.
100%. Yeah.
Is internet marketing inherently manipulative, exploiting people's insecurities and desires for profit? And should there be stricter regulations to protect consumers?
Wow, that's a good question.
You don't think, bro, when I went to college, literally the admissions officer is like, listen, take this 20% interest loan because it's going to change your life and you're going to get a job that's going to pay like a measly 50 grand a year, but we're going to charge you 100,000, come on, sign on the dotted line.
Exactly.
You go into the recruiter's office for the friggin' army. They're like, come on, man, like you're not going to be anything in life unless you're in the army, bro. Don't give me this internet marketers are manipulative bullshit. Everybody's manipulative, okay? The whole world is manipulative.
So I think there's
you got to manipulate your kid by pretending the vegetables are a freaking airplane just to get him to eat.
That's true.
Santa Claus.
But here's
it's
the
a lie.
thing. I think that there's two distinctions between manipulation and persuasion.
Yes.
And so I think those are two different things. So if you ask me if it's manipulative, it depends on the following. Okay, so manipulation is when you're trying to force somebody to do something that's not going to benefit them in any way, shape, or form, and maybe even harm them. That is manipulation. Now, persuasion is, like, for example, you persuaded me to change the thing in my business that tripled my profit over a year. And was that manipulation? No, you saw that I had a problem and you said, bro, you need to fix this. So that's persuasion, right? And so what we do as marketers and what, McDonald's does, what all these big corporations do is, some corporations don't have, like McDonald's is probably not a net positive for the world, or maybe it is because they've cheapened food and, now children in Africa can eat cheaper. Anyways. And so it's manipulative depending on if you're doing a bad thing or a good thing. Like if the product is good, if the product is bad. Does that make sense? What do you think about that?
I would say the difference between manipulation and persuasion is when you use your words to make it clear to someone why something makes sense because it does.
Exactly. You take the idea that's in your mind and you implant it in their brain so that they go, oh, that makes sense.
But if I were to really define it, the way I think about it, the difference between persuasion and manipulation is when you effectively use your words to show somebody that is maybe confused that something is true and is the way it is. Whereas manipulation is where you use your words to effectively confuse somebody to show them something isn't the way it is.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, that makes sense too.
Like when I persuaded you to do that thing in your business that tripled your profits, that was the obvious and right thing to do.
Yeah.
The only thing I did was use my words to unconfuse you to see something that should have been obvious to you, right? If I am going to sell consulting to a company, right? And I look at their marketing, and I know that their marketing is terrible. And I know that even if I did a horrible job, I would still make them more money than what I charge. Then I'm going to persuade them to pay me because not only is it the right thing to do, but it's just very clear.
Yeah. If you know you can solve their problem, you would be doing them a disservice if you did not persuade them to buy, right?
But if I don't think I can help them and I try to manipulate them, now I have to do things to cloud the truth, which is way harder than just showing them the truth.
Exactly.
It's actually easier if I'm being honest, because you can just lie, right? But when you persuade, it's hard to lie because what makes persuasion so effective? It's rooted in truth. That's why.
Yeah.
What makes manipulation so horrible is it's rooted in lies.
Yep.
So when somebody says, "Well, you manipulated me into doing that," well, are you sure? Because what did I trick you into making an extra $1 million?
Exactly.
So I believe that persuasion is when you convince somebody to do something positive because it is the obvious and true and right thing to do, and manipulation is when you convince something to do something bad for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's not based in truth.
Yeah, exactly. And so bottom line is, yes, there are a lot of manipulative people on the internet.
Yeah.
But I'm a firm believer that the market corrects itself. The market will expel that guy.
Yeah.
He won't last a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. What did you say?
Nothing. I'm sorry, I got a frog in my throat.
Yeah, exactly.
The worst offers, in my opinion, on the internet are the automation offers. They're horrible because they're all scams.
What's that?
All Amazon automation and all that. They're all scams. It's basically like, well, we're going to build you an Amazon store. Give me 30 or 50 grand, and I'll build you an Amazon store that'll make you $10,000, $20,000 a month, and blah, blah, blah. Dude, if that were true, well, why wouldn't I just build it myself, and instead of making 30 grand one shot, why wouldn't I just build it myself, hire some VAs, and make that every month and just scale that operation to 10, 20, 50, 100 stores.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense, dude.
Yeah.
You know? So, well, I need them to run the business, but they're going to pay me a franchise fee. Bro, they may or may not do the work. Just hire an employee.
Yeah.
You know, like, you're going to give them half when you could just hire an employee that gets a fraction? Like, it's bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. So there are tons of scams out there, and that is the definition of manipulation. But I agree. Like, if you have a good product, like, then, you know, it's just marketing at the end of the day. Like, bro, if you see my Instagram, my Facebook, it's crazy. People commenting scammer, this, that. But if you watch my product, my course, it's freaking good. It's very good. It's divided by day, step by step, exactly what you need to do. There's the foundations, the philosophy, the principles, and then you get into the actual step by step of what you need to do to build this business, the foundations of the business. It's good. If any top marketer watches my VSL, you're gonna go like, oh, I know what you're doing here. I know what you're doing here. Yeah. But the thing is, I'm speaking to people that are beginners, so I'm speaking to their soul. I'm speaking to their heart. I don't want to, sound all techie and whatever and advanced. I want to speak to their soul and touch their heart and actually plant a seed in their mind, just like Ty Lopez and Jim Rohn planted in my mind, and it changed my life completely. So that's what I want to do. Right?
You know what's crazy? Sometimes I've been at an event or speaking from stage or even on the phone with like a high-level entrepreneur, like high level. And I'll use the dumbest analogy, the simplest, like little, and that's what they actually resonate with the most, even at that level.
Yeah. It's like Einstein said, you need to make stuff simple, but not simpler than they need to be. So make stuff simple. 100%. Make complex ideas simple.
Yeah.
And David Ogilvy, one of the best marketers of all time.
Then you can talk about quantum physics and still make millions of dollars while rubbing your chin.
So basically, my program is for complete beginners, and we teach them how to do exactly what billionaires do. So if you look at the biggest companies in the world, Airbnb, biggest hosting company in the world, doesn't own any hotels. They just connect somebody that owns a hotel or a property to the person that needs a hotel or a property.
Brilliant.
And then they make a transaction fee, right? Uber, same thing. Biggest taxi company in the world doesn't own any taxis. They just connect you with somebody who has a taxi, right? And so they make a transaction fee. And so what I teach people how to do is help businesses, local businesses, with their marketing. Because what does every local business need? A hair salon, a gym owner, whatever. They want more profit, right? And how do they make more profit? Marketing. But marketing is a complex skill to learn. We took years to learn. You took more than a decade to get to where you're at. So like you have a decade of marketing under your belt. And so the beauty with this program is that you don't need to know how to do all that marketing stuff. You just use your phone to text these local businesses, hey, do you need marketing? And if they say, yes, I do, you connect them, just like the biggest companies in the world do, with somebody that can provide that marketing service, and you make a transaction fee. And so that's basically the concept.
Yeah, it's like agency arbitrage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I love that, how you hooked them, and that explanation of, so I got started in BizOp.
Yeah.
Yeah, business opportunity, started a Facebook ad agency. I just became so obsessed with marketing that I just kind of wanted to elevate to
go deeper
and sell to existing business owners more.
Yep.
Though I like helping newbies get into marketing. That's why I have the AI software, and that does well. But I like me. I like the advanced stuff.
Yeah.
But my first webinar did 10 million on a $1,000 product, and everybody was selling how to start an agency, right? But I realized, I'm like, okay, if I can just watch all their webinars and come up with a simpler way to explain it, I'm gonna win, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I did, and I just made it a point. I was like, whatever I say, it has to be way more dumbed down and way more simple than what everybody else is saying.
Yeah.
So I came up with this analogy that just crushed. right? It just crushed. And the webinar converted so great. It was one of my best sales videos ever. And it was this. Have you ever seen the show Mad Men?
I don't watch TV shows, by the way.
Okay.
Nobody should watch TV shows.
I show biz ops, so they watch TV shows. Okay. Biz op guy. There was a show called Mad Men. It was very popular. And it was about an advertising agency in like the 50s and 60s. And the main character was named Don Draper. And, you know, he had money, he had a nice New York penthouse, he always had a hot girlfriend, and like he was the man's man, right? Yeah. And so he was something that people aspired to be. So I basically said, look, here's how you can make money without an audience and without a product by basically being a modern day Don Draper. And because what are the two biggest objections? Like, oh, I don't have an audience and I don't have a product, right? So I answered both those objections in this big idea, unique mechanism analogy, and that was this. I said, think about how Don Draper makes money, right? If Don Draper sells an advertising campaign to, say, Doritos, see, Don Draper doesn't have to make chips. He doesn't have to make a product. Doritos makes the product, but they're busy making the product. So Don Draper makes an advertisement to promote the product. Now, Doritos is going to want to put that on a TV station.
Yeah.
What's the TV station? It's the audience. It is a platform that a bunch of people watch. It's an audience, right? And the Doritos are the product. So what Don Draper does, he says, hey, Doritos, pay me a bunch of money and I'll make you an advertisement. And I'll go to the TV station, I'll negotiate for you, I will place the ad for you, I'll play it on their TV station, I'll deal with them, I'll talk to them. You don't have to talk to them. Just give me money and I'll take care of everything. So then Don Draper makes the ad, he goes to the TV station and he says, hey, I'm gonna buy some time on your TV station, put this ad on it. That's what he did. So Don Draper made millions of dollars, because those guys made money back then, without owning a product and without having an audience. Because he just made up an ad and put it on a TV station, got paid for it. Well, see, back then, if you wanted to do that, you would have to work your way up the corporate ladder in a high-end New York advertising agency to get that job. To be able to make money without a product and without an audience. However, today, in 30 seconds, you can go into your Facebook account, you can click ads, and you can create an ad account. You can then sell, you can then get paid by a local business to create an ad, put it on Facebook. The business will pay Facebook for the ad and pay you to make the ad and to deal with Facebook, just like Don Draper dealt with the TV station. Okay? And what's great about this is...
That's good. That's a good...
it's a few clicks, and I can teach you how to make the ad and how to put it on Facebook. You literally just have to learn how to click buttons and a few frameworks that I'll show you that are repeatable. Get the clients, boom, right? And that was basically how I described how to start a Facebook ad agency. So if you think about it, it's just like such a very simple analogy that makes people go, oh.
Exactly.
Okay? And that webinar smashed, dude.
Exactly. That's what you need. Because imagine if you were to talk like super complex stuff, like, so here's how this works, and then you have the pixel, and then you need to get these clients.
You know how many webinars I saw from people who were struggling, and that's what they were doing. Oh, here's an ad. I didn't teach how to do any ads at all. But you know what I did teach? I said, now let me ask you a question. You're probably thinking to yourself, how am I going to create an ad, right? Well, here's the brilliant part. The business has already created the ad for you. What most businesses don't realize is that they've posted pictures of their office or of this or of that, and those are great ads. The best ads are ads that don't look like ads. They look like real, right? And so all you have to do is go on the business's Facebook or Instagram page, grab something they've already posted, they've already made the creative for you, and put it on Facebook. That will perform a lot better than trying to make this fancy video or whatnot. So literally, they've already done 80% of the work for you.
Yeah.
Which this is actually true, right? Like when I had a Facebook ad agency, I would grab images, like crappy images from clients' pages, and I would just write a little line of copy and take them to an offer, and it always converted better.
Yep.
Always. You know? And so I just made it so simple to understand.
Yeah, that's what David Ogilvy, one of the best marketers to have ever lived, says, that if you can make somebody believe in one idea, or what he called the big idea, then they're sold. And so that makes so much sense what you just told me, because you don't need to explain a bunch of complex, how this marketing stuff, like Facebook ads, the pixel, and then the conversion API, you install it here in the website, whatever. You just explain the concept and the big idea behind how all that works, and then boom. Once you get, I think it's the aha moment, right? Once you get somebody to go, oh, that makes sense, that is the moment where they're sold.
Aha. Oh.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
You know how I figure that out a lot? I'll when I'm out in social settings or I'm just talking to people or whatever, a lot of times people will say, well, what do you do?
Yeah.
And I'll describe what I do using an analogy. And I'll look for and I'll cycle through them until the random person on the street who asks what I do goes, oh.
When people ask you, well, what do you do? What's your best analogy?
I own an online business, what do you do? And I find out what they do, and then I expand on what I do.
Oh, yeah.
Based on what I could sell them.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I got it.
Yeah. So watch, like there was a guy the other day, he's like a financial planner or something, and we landed him as a client, and I was just randomly out, right? And he goes, what do you do? And I say, I have an online business. I kept it very vague. And then I say, what do you do? And he says, I'm a financial planner. So then I say, oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, so I
help financial planners.
Well, no, I didn't say it that. That's a little.
I help financial planners.
I say I help professionals get more clients. My company is GetClients.com. And then he's, well, I'm a professional. How can you help me get more clients? Like literally, that's exactly what he said.
Yeah.
And then I just went into discovery questions.
Yep.
And boom.
Yeah, I think I've sold a bunch of people that ask me what do I do, and then I usually say, oh, I just own an online education company.
Yeah.
And then if they ask, going to go deeper, I go, yeah, no, I teach people how to make money by building marketing agencies.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, that's interesting. Where can I see it, whatever, or how does that work? And then I expand, and sometimes they even buy the program. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's happened to me. Just like I've literally gone to dinner and walked away with a sale. Like if I say I own an online business, and then they go, oh, like you make money online? Like how do you do that? Or if I ask what they do, and they go, oh, I just have a normal job.
Yeah.
And they're interested. I said, yeah, I basically teach people how to quit their jobs and become marketers using AI.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, what do you mean? And
Yeah,
then I explain,
exactly.
I basically just do my AI webinar.
Yeah.
I'm like, like you can sell marketing services, but instead of learning marketing, at least at first, you can use our software and it'll do the marketing for you.
Yeah.
And they're like, really? It's like, but I don't do that much because it's only like a low ticket offer, and I don't want to sit there and talk to somebody for an hour 100%. To make a couple grand.
Yeah.
But 50 grand's different.
Yeah.
Like I'll have a conversation.
So your limit for a conversation, your threshold is $50,000.
I mean, even for 10, I might talk for a minute.
Yeah, for a minute.
But I'll have a full-length conversation if it's a potential $50,000 contract.
Yeah.
Because that's what I charge for my private
And look,
client
people
program.
that are maybe watching this and thinking, what a douchebag. No, it's because
time is money.
Yeah, time is money, and you understand that your time is valuable. And he has a ton of free content online that you can watch to change your life. So you can't say that he's a douchebag because he gives away so much free
You can
information.
totally say that I'm a douchebag. I mean, you can say, I can say that couch is a douchebag. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah. I think that what me and you do is fascinating, because I don't think you realize sometimes, because you're so deep into the high level advanced stuff, but I don't think even you realize the impact that you can have on the day-to-day of regular people. You know what I mean? I think I realize that more than you, because I'm every day, with these people, and this is my market. But I don't think you realize the impact that you have on the businesses that you mentor, and then on their customers. right? Because if you help your clients get more customers, they will create more change and more, given they have a good product that actually solves the problem and helps people.
That's why I took some time off though, because I'm just gonna be straight with you. This is why I get deeper and deeper with my premium offers into B2B.
Yeah.
Because I would have people buy a $10,000 program, sometimes even a $50,000 mastermind. They would buy into my I don't know where they got the money.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, what do you need help with? Right? Well, I need more clients. I'm like, yeah, okay, everybody needs more clients. What's the problem? Well, I don't know how to get clients. I'm like, okay, well, what do you do?
I help people get clients.
Dude, I swear to God, I help coaches get clients. And I go, you don't know how to get clients.
Yeah.
And they go, yeah, that's why I hired you. I'm like, whoa, that's not how this works.
So you're telling me.
I'm like, you don't pay me money so that you can then learn how to get clients, steal my strategies, and teach them, because you've already made a promise that you know how to do something that you don't know how to do and you're struggling. Like this is all messed up on so many levels.
Yeah, it's coaches that are coaching coaches that are
coaching coaches that are coaching coaches.
Yeah.
And then when I started, I was like, oh, I'm gonna help you get more clients. It was like, okay, cool. But now because there's so many coaches that teach coaches that teach coaches that teach coaches, new people in the market will see me and go, oh, it's another coaches that teach coaches. And I'm like, I was been here for 15 years, bro.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, most people just sell a couple courses and they're like, whoa, I'm an expert. Let me coach other businesses.
The guy you bought
from
learned from the guy who learned from the guy who learned from me.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I learned from the guy who's old as right now and isn't even doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Or he's dead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, 100%. It's just like before I launch any course, I do the thing before. You know what I mean? I used to do drop shipping before I sold a drop shipping course.
Exactly.
I used to run marketing agency before I sold a course on how to run a marketing agency.
Do you ever get annoyed that people will make comments and accuse you of something without doing their homework? Like, oh, you never, like they'll say probably that you've never done drop shipping.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, when I sold my agency course, some people were like, well, you never owned an agency.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, I did. I owned an agency. I was making $25,000 a month.
Yeah.
And then when I owned my agency, they were like, well, you never owned a real business. Yes, I did. I owned multiple restaurants. I owned a vending company.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about, bro? You know,
exactly.
they just assume because all these other dudes out here never owned a real business.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
That's 100%.
But you can't let it get to you.
Yeah, you need to learn to have thick skin. It used to affect me more. I was like, oh, am I? And some criticism is good criticism. Sometimes I get a comment and I'm like, let me look into this for real.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a good comment, but it's like the 16th president of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, said, I learn from everybody, even if it's what not to do. So most comments are just like, okay, I don't need to do that. But some comments are like, okay, that's interesting. Maybe I can extract something from that, and then I can improve my product. So my basic ad is, hey, do you have an iPhone? If you do, I can teach you how to make money texting on your iPhone. Click the link below. And there was an ad that I did one time with my wife, and it was like me and my wife in the car, and I just told her, say just, hey, do you have an iPhone? And I do the rest. And so the ad started, it was me and her. She was like, hey, do you have an iPhone? And then I continued. If you do, me and my team are looking for a couple people that want to learn this new business model, whatever. And that ad, first of all, converted way higher. And second of all, brought in way more women to the offer.
Yeah. Wow.
So this is another advanced thing. Once you are running the same ad creative or the same ad creative angle, and if it's with your face for a long period of time and hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on that ad creative, if you grab another person, different maybe gender, ethnicity, whatever, and they say the same exact thing, exactly like you said, it will attract that different audience, and your ROAS will explode through the roof again.
It's a little trick, yeah.
That's good.
Another reason why, like, if you run testimonials as ads, sometimes, like, you can run a testimonial at the beginning from a person of a certain race or gender or age group.
Yeah.
Have them say something, and then cut to your normal thing. Like if you're gonna be lazy, just take the testimonial.
Yeah.
take a highlight from it, 5-10 seconds,
That's a good idea.
and then put it in front of your normal ad, and then you just start the ad. Because now
That's a
they're
good
gonna be like,
idea.
oh well, this black lady or this old Asian man trusts Dan.
Yeah.
So I'm an old Asian man, I'll trust
Yeah,
Dan.
that's a good idea.
You know, like
Yeah, so you can make a bunch of different variations with that the same
if you
creative
don't
that
want
you
to go
already
to the
have.
trouble of
Yeah.
doing it where you hire different people to say the thing. Yeah, it's like the lazy
Yeah.
man's way. That's how I used to do it. Because
Yeah, that's good.
I'm lazy.
But that's good. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's the laziest people that make the most money because they figure out ways how to solve problems more efficiently.
That's what Bill Gates said.
Yeah.
I told you, bro, I never pursued anything that I didn't at least make a little bit of money easily and
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah.
Like that's why I only do sales presentations to get
So
clients.
then you force yourself to find the most efficient way of doing the same thing.
I've done everything, dude. I've had huge sales teams. I've done outbound marketing, inbound. I've done everything, bro.
Yeah.
And every single time, a simple sales presentation
Yep.
always is the easiest money.
Yeah.
Always. And so I default to that now.
Yeah, because think about it. What's the alternative? Speaking physically, like in person to somebody and pitching your product physically to one person.
Yeah.
And then you record it and thousands of people
Yeah.
can watch it
Yeah.
at the same time.
But the great part about a sales presentation, see, like if let's say the way you get clients is you do mailers, you send mail, or let's say you do outbound phone calls. Or these are tactics that are really one-trick ponies. But if you make it a sales presentation, you can do a webinar. You can take that same webinar, and you can do it as a talk on stage at an event that you get asked to speak at. You can do it sort of as a podcast.
Yeah.
You can do it in a normal conversation at dinner. You can
Yep.
just be like, oh, what do you do? Well, go into your webinar.
Yeah.
Okay. You can do it as an in-person event. You can there's so many different ways you can say the same thing when
Yeah.
you have an effective sales presentation.
exactly.
But if the only way you get clients is like outbound mailers, what are you
Yeah.
going to do? Go to dinner and just hand somebody a mailer?
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
not,
exactly.
Right?
And the thing is, you don't need multiple sales presentations, right? You can just have
One.
one
Just
that
one.
you use for everything
everything.
that you need to every different context, in person or email marketing, ad creatives. Just one pitch, you can use it for everything.
One epic pitch.
See, there's.
And if you want to attend the Epic Pitch Challenge and learn how to create one single sales presentation that gets you clients for life, click the link in the description. Okay.
Bro, you've been in the market too long. You are so cynical nowadays.
I know. Dude, I know. Bad marketing annoys me. Like, if anything, I like to teach marketing just to correct bad marketing. Because I see it and it just irritates me. I'm like, why are you saying that? Just don't say that. Say this. You know?
What's the most important things or elements or principles that you need to have in your one pitch that you use to sell everything? What's the most important elements that you need to have?
You need to accomplish these 4 things. It needs to be entertaining, because if it's boring, nobody watches. It needs to be personalized. It needs to feel like it's only made for the person watching. It needs to be irrefutable, meaning instead of trying to convince anyone of anything, you simply align what you're trying to get them to believe with things they already believe. Entertaining, personalized, irrefutable, clear.
I think this was Dale Carnegie in the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. He said, you can't change a man's mind. You can't convince a man to change his mind, because he will always go back. Even if he says, okay, you're right, he won't change his mind actually. He will go back to his previous convictions.
Because nobody's going to change their mind, and they're not going to listen to you. They're always going to listen to them.
Yeah.
99% of the time, everybody listens to what they want to do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Brother, this was an amazing session.
Yeah, thank you. I
Yes.
appreciate your time as well.